yeah, good afternoon, South Africa, and welcome to Pepper's Echo. My name's Andre, and it's good to be back with you on this Sunday again. For those of you who are watching live, thank you very, very much. It is always that much appreciated. And for those of you watching the rerun, I really appreciate that too. The most that I can say is please like and subscribe. And share these videos of mine as far and as wide as you can. It's the only way that I actually get my videos and content out there, and it is very, very much appreciated as such. I am sorry if I'm sounding a little bit clogged at the moment, but yeah, I I'm not on my best today, so this is going to be the half an hour echo. I'm not going to be pushing. Not that any of you bananas look longer, that watch longer than half an hour anyway, but that you do watch, I thank you so much, very, very much indeed. Yes, if there's, this is basically a look from the ordinary man in the street, from the outside looking in. We cover different things. I sometimes harp much on South African politics as well, talk a little bit about Cambodia sometimes, etc., etc. And looking at things just from the normal average person in the street, unresearched, just wondering what's hitting me in the face. And I create more of the questions and what we create answers over here. As I've always said, you want to catch the guys with the answers, then I would suggest you take a look at a Ronaldo post, which is absolutely excellent. I really enjoy his shows. He's really good, general chat, everything, and he has a superb following as well. Another gentleman that I do believe that would be of extreme interest to yourselves would be Chris Wyatt in South Africa. Chris Wyatt, retired Army Colonel, is in the States, but he has a huge amount of knowledge on South Africa and usually does most of his shows on that as well. And it is better than actually catching the news. Talking about catching the news, to catch your daily news, very important, never miss Roman Cabinet, Morning Shot. Program is called Morning Shot Stream at I think it's 7 o'clock in the morning, 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning in South Africa, and then the afternoon Morning Shot wind down in the afternoon as well. Really, really important to take a look at those guys as well. Then we have always Man on the Ground, always got very, very interesting streams as well. Joe Emilio, take a look at Joe's shows. And as I've added before, Joe is actually a jolly good comedian as well, but his content is absolutely fantastic. Last but not least, always take a look at Germ from Germ Warfare, sorry. And then, of course, then there is Pepper's Echo, where we work with the average man in the street. And as I said, just looking at from a layman's point of terms, no hugely researched thing to say that the articulate arc of the tangent brought to the acute angle will now push the. I have no idea why that angle is pushing out there, but it shouldn't be. That's all I know over there. And then, of course, I want to show you quickly how the paparazzi have grown. Shut. If we wake the paparazzi up. There we go. Say hello, guys. There's the paparazzi. There and there. This is Ozzy and Jesse, and look how they've grown. Remember the first whoops. Remember the first whoops. Don't reverse. Don't reverse, buddy. You're only a stop for that time. Remember how small they were? Look, they're nearly Rottweilers. Oh, jeez. They are nearly Rottweiler size. Oh, and they are really not wanting to be on show today. Yeah, and the weekend we got little bells so that we don't step on these Rottweilers. Not for their safety, but for ours, because they could take your leg off if you stepped on them by accident or something to that effect. Yeah, okay. And they could not go for their vaccinations again because little Jessie, this one over here, little brown one, she still has a cold in her nose. But they've done absolutely fantastic research, found great videos for us to watch. So, yeah, and we have not learned to bark yet. So we have no voice as such yet. So they cannot compete with Carter yet. But Carter, your backup singers are waiting for you right here. Thanks, guys. So yeah, I'll show you next weekend again how the paparazzi have grown as they seem to be doing. Excuse me, thank you. They seem to be doing very, very well. But yes, it was a big decision. You know, I only have a one-bedroom apartment, and it is, do we get dogs? No, we get dogs. And yeah, we looked, and the best one to get would be the Chihuahua, which is very small and is a great apartment dog. The only problem is that apparently they are pretty loud. At the moment, as you can see, they are probably 2 days shy of 3 months. Then they'll be 3 months old, and a little bark coming out of the one, but nothing much at all. Otherwise, it's just plain squeaking all the way. And yeah, happy to sleep in Dad's arms or his shoulder or something like that. But yeah, that's my paparazzi. That's my sweet moment for today as well. What I want to actually take a look at today is gun control in South Africa and violence in South Africa. Not a very, very popular topic at the moment. We say a popular topic, but not a very, very popular outcome at the moment, because our Minister of Defense or Chief of Police or Minister of Police or whatever old Cele boy is called, is absolutely as thick as two bricks. I'm sorry to say, but I mean, bloody hell. For somebody in that position to be this top is absolutely ridiculous. And I'd actually like to, so you're going to actually go through a video right now, and it is done by AfriForum. Once again, the content is not mine. It was put together from an interview that he had on SABC TV, but AfriForum actually had, I think it's AfriForum that actually had the statements that he made queried as well. And wow. It just makes you wonder about the competency of our police chief. Is Minister of Police or whatever, etc., etc. Sorry, I'm really not doing too well today. So I thought of cancelling the echo, and then I thought, nah, this is not going to be a good one. Before I actually do carry on, there is one person I want to give a shout out to, and I want to give genuinely my prayers and my thoughts and my hopes to Linda van Rooyen. I really, really hope that if you do get to watch this, that you and your family are recovering and that you are well. And I have been thinking about you guys throughout this week as well. And I really, you've been in my prayers and in my thoughts as well. You're an absolute star always around, and I do hope that you are recovering and getting to normal health, both yourself and your family in that as well. Okay, that going by, I want to show you that video. It's about 7 minutes long, so we're going to be dealing with a lot more just video clips and that at the moment today. If there is time, I'll put in another one. It's just about the violence in South Africa, which actually tells us why the hell South Africa needs gun laws or guns in the first place. Registered, legit guns. Now the government wants to remove the guns. They want like an anti-gun law. In the most violent country in the world, you want an anti-gun law, and it is proven over and over that an anti-gun law is not going to remove violence. Let's take a look what he's got to say. I'm actually going to just drop the whole screen for you. This is done by AfriForum, and usually for video. So I know what is an SABC interview as well, so please remember this is mine and AfriForum. I do want to encourage you to join AfriForum, support them, YouTube channel, subscribe to them. This is ridiculous. And this is South Africa. Disarm legal gun owners. That's the gun owner.
In one of the most violent countries in the world, where the Commissioner of Police openly admitted that law enforcement forces are unable to fulfill their mandate, The government is pushing to amend the Firearms Controls Act to prevent citizens from owning firearms for self-defense. The amendments also have far-reaching implications for hunters and sports shooters. Government's campaign against legally owned firearms, headed by Cele, the Minister of Police, seems to rely on the spreading of misinformation about firearms statistics. This is evident from his television interview that was aired on SABC, and in which he made several unsubstantiated claims about gun violence.
We have discovered that the countries that don't give the right to the individuals to own firearms have a less violent crime against their own citizens, including women.
We ran Cele's claims past the former head of the SAPS's Crimes Information Management and Analysis Center, Dr. Christa Kok, a man who understands crime trends in South Africa better than most.
The problem is you can't compare. He refers to research, and he constantly referred to research, but we haven't seen that research document or documents. And it would be interesting with how many countries did they compare. The ones that he mentioned, for example, Japan and Botswana, have got, firstly, a very low level of crime. Actually, in Japan, it's, there's basically no violent crime at all. In Botswana, it's also a very low level. In the last few years, it increased a little bit because they have now also a problem of an influx of foreigners from the north, especially. But you can't compare the two, not at all. South Africa have got very high levels of violence.
More people are killed and injured by legal firearms in the hands of the owners, even more than those that are out there illegal.
I could find no evidence in that regard.
2019-2020, 566 guns were used, those were illegal firearms, were used to murder, injure, attempted murder people. But 1,334 were legal, that were in the legal hands, that were used to injure mostly those women. So it doesn't stop.
No, that figures doesn't make any sense to me. I can give you a few examples. Let's go to weapons, and let's go to a few crimes. Let's go to carjackings. In carjackings, 15th in the year, in only 1 year, the latest full year that was released. I mean, now they release quarter, and that is 1920. It's from April 2019 to March of 2020. 15,110 carjackings happened where firearms were used. The total was 17,684. But in 85% of that, firearms were used. And then, does that indicate to you that in the hands of people who shouldn't have that firearm, it's not their firearm, or maybe it was licensed, but you will never know. There are at least 15,110. Then when we come to business robbery, 16,261 business robberies occurred where a firearm was in the hand of the criminal. But how it comes to that figures, I don't have a clue.
We found them to be more lethal, more violent than those that are out there. So if you reduce these guns, you are reducing the violence against the ordinary citizens out there.
No, that's a bit laughable because clearly, with all the figures that I've just mentioned, clearly illegal guns are very lethal. If we look at our murder figure of 21,000+, and this murder figure is still rising for the last 6 years, it's going up.
Out of 1,334 firearms that have been used either to injure or kill ordinary citizens, most of them women, only 25 of them were from the state agencies.
That, I think, is clearly not correct. the two weapons which are
That is absolute bullshit. I agree. Of the 1,500, only 25. And I like the way he thought like added drama throws in, of which most of them were women. Rubbish. People, thousands and thousands and thousands of people are killed. You saw that number at the beginning of this video. 58 average per day murders in South Africa. Not per week, not per month, not per quarter, per day. That's a rate of war. Sorry.
preferably used by the CIT robbers is the R4 and the R5. Both of those, the R4 I think is the Defence Force, and the R5 is the police issued weapon.
Those are the two weapons that are usually used in armed robberies, in heists, money vehicle heists, an R4 and an R5. Those you don't just go and register to your name. Where did they get these things from?
It's a bit shorter than the other one is more for long distance. Now I can assure you the same will happen wherever they need to do a shop robbery, a jewelry shop, all of those things, they use that kind of weapon.
Bearing in mind that the SAPS has lost an estimated 5,000 firearms and more than 10 million rounds of ammunition over the past few years.
5,000 firearms and 10 million rounds, not lost by public people who have registered and carry their firearms legally, but by the police who are supposed to protect us. 5,000 firearms and 10 million rounds of ammunition lost by the police. These are the people who protect you. These are the people who are arming the thugs, who are killing the everyday citizen, who the police want to take the right to carry an arm away from.
And the many cases of police officers who rent out firearms in police custody to criminals, it's clear the government's arguments for wanting to disarm law-abiding citizens holds no water. The question we should be asking is why the authorities really want us disarmed.
Okay, there we go. I'd like to give some airtime to AfriForum here as well. So say no now to government wanting to take your firearm. Submit your submit your comments here to myfirearm.co.za. Hashtag myfirearms is mine, and that is all backed by AfriForum, guys. Really, I would like to punt AfriForum. They do good work, and I think they are the breathing pipe for many South African. Even those that choose not to, actually stand up and want to sit on the fence or subside or skeptical. You know what, guys? AfriForum's standing in there for you. So stick to them. Right. So what I want to take a look at. So, well, Cele is going like, oh well, of the 1,600 weapons used, 500 and something. The dude, the ex-head of the investigations or crime unit or whatever, is just said to you, there's 15,000 hijacking and 16,000 office, and that's above and beyond the other, where firearms were used. That puts over 32,000. Where does Cele get his maths? And then when you actually hear him try and say something about maths, he sounds like he's been to Zuma's math school. Really. I mean, how many people use a legal firearm to commit a crime? I think there is spur of the moment issues, which usually occur in a domestic violence, sadly, or a close-knit thing, in your group, in a little, amongst friends, friends after you shot your friend, he was my friend. No, but anyway, but I think it occurs then when, usually you get into a drunken fight or a rage, or you come home and find your wife with another dude and you shoot him. Something like that. But it isn't vindictive. Well, it is vindictive, obviously, if you shoot someone. But it isn't, let's go out and murder someone. Let's go out and take someone's car. Let's go out and steal something. Let's go out and break in. Let's go out and murder a farmer. Farm murders are ridiculous. If you take a look at the current what's happening in South Africa, I've got another 3-minute video here, which I'd like to just take a look at. And then think to yourself, with such a violent country, is it wise to disarm legal, law-abiding citizens? Is it wise in any way to handicap, to stop the legal citizen, the average everyday Joe? Is it legal to prevent him from being able to protect himself and his family, herself and her family, by removing their right to carry a firearm, but then losing? We heard 5,000 firearms over the last 2 years, which I think is a little bit of a shady number. I think it's more than that. And 10,000, or was it 10 million rounds of ammunition, which I also think is an underestimated amount. These are all guns that have been handed in or collected by the police department. And this is what's going out from the police department. I don't know, but if I was a conspiracy theorist, which I am not, yeah, right, I am. I love conspiracies. But I would say that the ANC is trying to disarm the country so that they are able to have a dictatorship and totalitarian power overall. You can't even protect yourself from the people who are supposed to be protecting you. Never mind the people who are malicious against you. I mean, it's like, great, you know what, guys? From now on, we're cutting every man's dick off. Why? Well, it's going to bring the rape factor down, won't it? Yeah, but surely, no. That's it. Just doesn't make a difference. Reminds me of the one where the guy's on a dam and he's fishing, or he was fishing. He doesn't have any fishing. So he's got a boat, and he was in the middle of the dam in his little rowboat, and there was a fishing rod in the rowboat and everything, and the fauna and flora forest department guy rose up to him in his little boat or whatever. He says, "Sir, I'm giving you a fine of 500 rand. He says, "Why?" He says, "Because you are fishing in a water that is a nature reserve and you are not allowed to fish here." He says, "But we're allowed out here on our boats." He says, "Yes, but you can't fish here, you're fishing here." He says, "But I'm not fishing here. My boat is equipped with the fishing equipment, and it's in the boat, but I am not utilizing it. My fishing rod isn't in the water. I have not put any bait on it, nothing to that effect. So how can you find me when I'm not actually fishing?" He says, "But sir, you have the equipment to do it." He says, "Well, then I would like to lay a charge against you for raping my wife." He says, "Sir, I have not touched your wife whatsoever." He says, "I agree." He says, "But you have the equipment to do it." So exactly the same thing. What are we trying to take everybody apart for gun violence because we have the equipment to do it? Or are we actually holding the people accountable who are doing it? Because the people who are being held accountable are the wrong people. Sometimes it's the police that are actually stopping, or trying to stop, who are getting it in the neck. Oh, the police violence. Oh, these people don't have a chance against the government because the government is using them as a scapegoat. When you go higher up their ranks, That's when you find the guys who are busy shoving money into their back pockets. Absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, let's take a look at something really violent.
Imagine at the times of Black Lives Matter movement, where protesters, instead of demanding justice for black people not being mistreated for the color of their skin, they demand something different. They marching by requesting to kill all the police, fry them like a bacon. They do not belong to this land. While the police standing right there next to them. I know I said imagine like it's a joke, but similar situation does happen in South Africa right now.
We've not called for the killing of white people, at least for now. I can't guarantee the future.
How's that for a shit out of it?
The group called EFF, Economic Freedom Fighters, and their supporters, primarily black people, decided that South African lands belonged just to them. And for years now, they either killed white farmers to take them away from the land or destroyed their lands completely, claiming they're taking their lands back and will show white people, Afrikaners, their place.
When we take over power, Afrikaner means you will know your place.
Okay, once again, it's exactly what I've said. You know what? This government will rather destroy their country, burn it to the ground, and rule over the ashes and call that success than actually govern an economically powerful country.
They do this by completely being ignorant that by killing one single farmer, they leave 2,000 people without food, including themselves, which is over $120,000 to South African economy. However, what I told you now isn't the dark side yet. Dark side 1, the way EFF and its supporters started taking white farmers away from the land, is coming at their houses at night, brutally killing their men, raping their women in front of children, and they do it every single night, one by one, farm by farm. This leaves white South African farm workers in a constant fear of extreme and psychological disturbance that someone's going to break into their house and kill them. I can't even remember last time I went to bed and not being awake. I'm sleeping, but I'm always aware of every little sound around. If the dog barks, I worry. If the dogs don't bark, I worry because I think they are poisoned.
And they tell us that these people may not have weapons. They may not protect themselves. I think maybe it's because sometimes they're coming short in very, very small amounts. Because if you took away everybody's arms, these thugs that are very, very well assisted by you know who, can come in and take you out because you would be powerless.
Dark side 2. This was going on for years, but for the last few years, the number of deaths, cruelty, brutality increased substantially. And the further along this goes, the worse this becomes. Google death of Brendan Horner. Dark side 3. The government completely denies that such a thing even exists. This situation was even reported to Donald Trump, who addressed his concern to South African government, after which government again denied that this is not happening and there's no illegal land grab going on.
There are no killings of farmers or white farmers in South Africa.
That is absolute. This is our president. This is the people that a lot of people look up, or the person a lot of people look up to and go, oh, this is our savior. This is the man he's an intelligent man. There are no farm murders. There are no land grabs in South Africa. Right below is a mother and a daughter raped and murdered.
No land grab in South Africa.
While people are screaming for help on streets, social media, and everywhere.
Why are they trying to kill us then?
Yet crimes are continuing on a massive scale, lands are destroyed, hatred songs, kill the boer, kill the farmer, are being sang everywhere.
And the government is allowing it. No one has been taken to task for that. No one has been taken to task for instigating violence, for instigating killing, for instigating propaganda. Although when it got to the Cele debacle, there was one farmer talking to the other farmers, and they arrested him for inciting violence. But these red thugs, terrorists, and their AN Nazis, who don't even really sit together around the same fire. And this is the problem I foresee. And this is possibly why they're wanting to take guns away, because these people are going to kill each other.
Maybe there is a corrupt purpose behind all of this. But with this purpose, South Africa slowly repeats the same mistake as Zimbabwe did, which after similar situation with land grabs, is now in high level scarcity, corruption, poverty, and violence. See, there's a lot of issues that going on during lockdown all over countries. Wars, rapes, racism, brutal murders. But if we stay in silence, we are part of that violence. So if today this is happening in South Africa, there's no guarantee that weird and dangerous things won't be happening in your country tomorrow. So let's not be ignorant and...
Yeah, I said share South Africa, let's help, and I did share it. So yeah, but when you're being attacked, in that beginning,
Imagine
you're being attacked, but you can't take away the person's firearm. Yeah, let's sit back. How do we want to enable our people to look after themselves if we are not going to enable them to protect themselves? If we are going to be the reason that our people die out, and I'm talking about the ANC. I'm not saying that there aren't other groups like the EFF, which are a little terrorist group on themselves, but the ANC is allowing these little terrorist groups to take over because they find that they are stupid and dumb enough and that they are able to rather control, propagate, and rule over those idiots than what they are able to rule over an intelligent man. And they need to remove an intelligent man's only means of protecting himself, and that is by disarming him, so that they can control him, and he has no way of protecting his life, his family's life, her family's life, anything to that effect at all. It's okay. I mean, why have the intelligent people around when you only have to control or run over the stupid people? And I mean, the EFF is stupid. BLF is stupid. They're dumb enough to be able to be ruled over by the ANC. And all they'll do is throw their little toys and scratch in the ground, and the ANC doesn't care. I have to burn it down. Burn it down. You know what they always said? The biggest sign of idiocy is wanting to protest the next morning because the bus that you burnt out is late. Absolutely ridiculous. I mean, where have we come? A friend of mine, and I will tell you, who actually said to me once, not so long ago, even biblically it said, what's it, verkoop jou mantel en koop aan jou swaard. Sell your mantle or your jacket and buy a sword, buy your sword, arm yourself. So, I mean, if you even want to look at it from a biblical point of view, in a biblical point of view, take your firearm and put it on your belt and take it with you. Don't have to walk around with a 6-gun dragging sparks at the back. But take a firearm and put it on your belt, on your person, on your body. I know many women carry it in a handbag. I don't think that is a great idea because when your handbag is snatched, it is gone. It's the same thing with a cell phone. You never said put a cell phone in your bag, don't put it in your rucksack. You know what, if you get into your car, don't put your cell phone in the middle of your car because if you get pulled out of the car, if your bag is snatched, if your rucksack is snatched, you're without a phone. But if it's in your pocket, you're thrown out with your phone. Same thing. You keep your firearm on you and you're thrown out of a car or your bag is snatched or something to that effect, you still have a means of protecting yourself with you. And people think twice. These idiots that attack you with the hope and assumption that you will not be armed and that you will not retaliate. They do not face retaliation very confidently at all. The minute you are prepared to retaliate, they will run. And it is to their benefit that South Africans be disarmed because there are no crimes, very few if any, and as I said, domestic and maybe within a friend ring or something like that, where a murder or a shooting is committed with a registered firearm. No one goes out to commit a crime with a registered firearm. Most of these people, or law-abiding citizens, have standard handguns, 35 special, 9 millimeters, Some of the bigger boys who need to show a little bit more steel, probably compensating with something else, is a 357 Magnum. But the small guns, 6.35 millimeters, .22 little pistols, they're all carried by everyday law-abiding citizens, not to be used, and I think most of them pray not to use it, and not to have to use it, but they have to carry it for the sake of self-protection. But none of these weapons are used in major crimes and murders as such. Well, first of all, none of the registered ones, and then when you get to cash heists, as he said, jewelry store robberies, things like that, they're using R4s and R5s. The R4 is the military, the R5 is the police. As he explained, the R5 is a little bit shorter, the R4 is a little bit longer. But these are the automatic weapons. I mean, there was a video out not long ago about a cash in transit driver who outran and outmaneuvered his assailants. What was it, Leo Pretorius or something like that. And the firearms that were firing on them were not pistols. They were automatic rifles that were firing on them. These aren't what our everyday people are putting on their sides. This isn't what you're told to put on your side. This isn't what the Bible tells you to put on your side. But it does say, arm yourself, right from biblical times, right to the everyday man in the street, right to the person who can think of any sense, is arm yourself. We have the right to arm ourselves, and no monkey business will tell us any different. So voice your opinion where you can, get in touch with AfriForum. They are there fighting for your rights. Join them, support them, donate to them, become a member of them, because they are fighting every single day for your rights as well. If you can't do it by yourself, at least try and do it somewhere, somehow. You give AfriForum 50 Rand a month. Doesn't sound like much, but at least you're trying to do something. Support them. Watch their YouTube channel. Follow their Twitter. Take a look at Good Citizen. Take a look at Ronaldo Close. Hear what's happening. Don't open yourself up. Watch Morning Shot. Watch Roman Cabinet on Morning Shot. The stream is called Morning Shot. That is the news. Don't sit and hang off the lips of the mainstream media. They are there to propagate. I saw a meme the other day. It said, if we stop mainstream media for 1 month, 80% of the world's problems would go away. I kind of tend to agree. I really agree. Guys, bottom line is, you can't disarm to want to dictate and overrun to. You cannot take away from what you should be protecting. You cannot trample what you should be leading. In some way, the bow will break. And if you take a look at that violence thing, EFF and the ANC are probably going to kill each other in the first place anyway, so they need to remove these guns and things to that effect. But the SAP loses 5,000 guns and 10 million rounds of ammo in 2 years. That's ridiculous. Somebody's made money. And tell me about this gun licenses and handing in guns. We saw the officers the other day, packed with papers, from the bottom to the top, in the passages. Who's going to work through all that paperwork? When we've got fat police officers lying across the benches in the police stations. There's an interview with, who's that investigator? What about his name now? He was saying, I mean, you've got these huge fat security guards, and then you've got these cops that could probably stop a bulldozer in its tracks. They are so overweight and unfit. What are they going to do if there's a crime? Are they going to run after the perpetrator? No. If they break a sweat standing up. That's why these things are lost. We do not have competent people. And now we want to take competent people and handicap them. We want to take their right to defend themselves away, because that's the only way. We've tried everything. They've done farm murders, which is still continuing. It is sick at the rate it's continuing. It is so sick because it is becoming more and more acceptable. The competence of South Africa ruling and leading is concerning. Farm murders, land grabs, disarming of innocent, law-abiding citizens. Just put those three together from the everyday man in the street on road. I'm not a huge knowledgeable guy, but that tells me that somebody is trying to set me up. If you, number one, are killing the people around me who are providing my food and my sustenance and my economy, you are taking land without compensation. And you are wanting to take my right to protect myself away. First of all, you have no common sense to want to build up my surroundings and my economy to make my country or my area that I live in safe. But when I take a look that you are killing the people around me, you are taking the land around me, and you are wanting to disarm me or deny me the right to protect myself, I know you are coming to cut my throat. Why would you do that? Three things. Just look at those three things. You don't even need to go into big details. Three simple things, all from our government, from the AN Nazis. Three simple things. They propagate race. They create tension between their own people. And when I say their own people, I'm talking about South Africans, black, white, Indian, Chinese, colored. They create tension on purpose. And then three major things. They're killing the farmers, the food chain, the economy. They're grabbing land, which they can do nothing with. Although the government owns millions of hectares of land, which they can relocate to if they need to. Thirdly, they now want to disarm. If you are so stupid that you can't see that that's a setup, I don't know. I really don't. Take a look at, I think Willem Petzer and Robin Kademak on Morning Shot did the thing on SAA. I know we spoke about it very, very quickly last week that SAA was selling off 51%, but they're not really selling them off. They're also just once again shoving the money into their cadres who are being funded from public funding, which is from your pension fund, which means that they've been giving the money to, it's like me saying, well, you know what, would you like 51% of my company? I'll give you the money and then you can get 50%. Anyway, we're sticking away from that. Three things, guys. Remember three things. Three things. You're killing the people that provide the food, that build our economy, that are the salt of our earth, the hardest workers. You're killing them off weekly, daily. You are grabbing land that doesn't belong to you. It doesn't belong to you. You're grabbing land from honest people who have acquired it honestly. What happened in between or whatever, I don't know. But you can't take it from the people who have grabbed it, who have taken it honestly. And then you are not going to develop it either. You're going to put it back into a rural little bushman village. Even if you give them all the machines and everything to that effect, no one is competent than the person who's there because they sweated, blood, sweat, and tears for it. And thirdly, you now want to take away my right to protect myself. People, That is a recipe for disaster. That is a recipe for genocide. That is a recipe for taking out competent people in your country, because you can only afford to rule them. On my side, thank you very much, guys, for watching. I appreciate it. I'm sorry I'm a little bit low and slow. Thank you very much to Oakley Forum for that video, and from Official Raza for the other one. I'll catch you back next Sunday again. Hopefully I'm a little bit healthier and a little happier, and we'll talk about a Campanian thing or something to that effect. But yeah, I'm an idiot. 3 things. Open your eyes again, I'm telling you. Have a good evening, good afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your weekend or what's left of it. Take care, be good. Remember, you can't be good. Please be kind.